Traveling is a hobby for many people who are looking for their destination while they are confused. Here are the top 10 countries in the world that you should visit. Number 10. New Zealand. Visitors have long regarded this island nation as a place of almost mythical beauty, thanks to Peter Jackson's casting of his native country as Middle-earth in the Lord of the Rings film series. Now, thanks to Amazon Prime's prequel series The Rings of Power, that perception is returning in a major way, with the election of Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, who has spent the past few years demonstrating what it meant to be an effective and realistic global leader. New Zealand's reputation as a bit of a utopia increased tenfold. If those crystal-clear mountain lakes, sweeping fjords, and misty rainforests gave the country that impression, New Zealand reopened last summer after the rest of the world had been kept away for more than 2 years by Ardern's careful pandemic policy. And it is still brimming with the spirit of adventure that has made it a favorite among thrill seekers. After all, Kiwis created zorbing, or as you may know it, hurtling down a hillside in a clear plastic ball, canyon swinging, and bungee jumping. Down here they call it bungee. You could also cuddle up with one of the island's world-famous Sauvignon Blancs or Pinot Noirs if your notion of fun leans more gentle. Number 9. Italy. Italy was frustratingly out of reach for many travelers who could only partake in La Dolce Vita vicariously through Stanley Tucci's CNN travelogue. Italy was particularly hard struck by the pandemic's initial waves. As you start dipping your toe back into the boot, you'll discover a nation deftly re-engaging with its own history, such as Rome's resurgence of artisanal food stores. But outside of the popular locations in Florence, Venice, and Lake Como, new places entice tourists to return. The glitterati are returning to Sicily, which is enjoying itself thanks to the eagerly anticipated second season of The White Lotus, due to Palermo's beautifully restored Villa Igia. Additionally, the area of Friuli Venezia Giulia, which is hidden between Slovenia and Austria, is so undiscovered that it will pay for your train ticket to lure you there. Next up, the title will be shared by Bergamo and Brescia, two former rivals who are putting their differences aside in a symbol of hope and optimism after being the epicenters of the early COVID-19 fiasco. Just off Naples, tiny Procida is emerging from the shadow of its attention-grabbing siblings in the Bay as the 2022 Italian capital of culture, the first island to ever be so honored. Number 8. United Kingdom. All eyes have been on the United Kingdom this year, from the Queen's Platinum Jubilee to her passing and the subsequent time of national mourning, the upcoming coronation of King Charles III, and the debut of the first season of Top Chef World All-Stars, which is filming in London and will feature chef distance from across the show's international spin-offs. Ensure that interest won't be waning over the coming few months. The two eateries that made the 2022 World's 50 Finest Restaurants list, Shoreditch's obsessively sourced Clove Club and West African-inspired Ikoyi, are the finest examples of the capital's dazzlingly varied restaurant scene. The pleasures of the British Isles, however, both old and new, go far beyond London's borders. For example, you can dine and drink in a revitalized Belfast, hike through Scotland's Cairngorms National Park, in the footsteps of revolutionary mountain women from the 19th century, or stay in a recently renovated Tudor castle that is more than 500 years old. Number 7. Morocco. Morocco has long been a point of entry for tourists from the West, not only to the African region, but also to the entire Arab world. It is simple to romanticize the mesmerizing Medinas, throbbing markets, and ancient riads of Morocco. But don't discount its equally lively modern culture. Marrakesh and Tangier are quickly becoming popular destinations for design enthusiasts, creatives of all kinds, including boutique hoteliers, jewelry designers, textile makers, and visual artists, are now drawing on traditional motifs as they turn to the future. The Yves Saint Laurent Museum thanks to hot new establishments, like the Museum of Contemporary African Art Al Modern and the experimental Comptoir de Mines. Marrakesh has become a destination for fashionistas and is now one of Africa's most significant centers for contemporary art. But if you really want to experience Morocco, you should travel to the less traveled areas of the country, such as the desert swimming holes, the Mediterranean beaches, and the cedar-shaded towns that, thanks to their idyllic mountaintop isolation, have managed to preserve their centuries-old Berber culture. Number 6. Greece. It was very deliberate if it seemed like everyone you knew traveled to Greece this year. Last year, the nation opened its borders to tourists in need of spending money, crossing its hopes that they would come back in large numbers. The clear Aegean seas beckoned us back to our favorite islands. After a year spent indoors, Crete, with its millennia of mythological history, undiscovered Paros, UNESCO-recognized roads, car-free Hydra, blissfully isolated Zakynthos, up-and-coming Tinos, and whitewashed Mykonos. But be cautious not to overlook Athens. Athens is one of Europe's surprisingly coolest cities, thanks to the scrappy, creative energy it channeled into its self-rebuilding after a crippling debt crisis. This energy has resulted in modern eateries, cutting-edge galleries, and trendy hotels. And if you go in 2023, make sure to go to Elefsina, one of the 3 towns that will share the title of European Capital of Culture, which is about 10 miles northwest of the capital. Number 5. India. India has a surprising variety of experiences within its boundaries, as is appropriate for a country that is frequently called a subcontinent. Once you've made the obligatory stops at the Taj Mahal and the gateway to India in Mumbai, you might find yourself trekking through Ladakh in search of elusive snow leopards, indulging in Portuguese-inspired cuisine in Goa, or receiving a restorative massage in a 700-year-old Rajasthani fort that has been transformed into a destination spa. India welcomed roughly 11 million foreign visitors in 2019, before the pandemic curtailed travel. But the nation still manages to feel unnoticed and is ready to emerge as the next great outdoor adventure destination, and the next great culinary destination, and the next great shopping destination. Or, if you're the kind of tourist who prefers to take things very slowly, you can always unwind on a lengthy train ride while watching the Indian landscapes, including its coastal villages, snow-capped peaks, and desertscapes scroll by the window like a movie. Number 4. Singapore. You've undoubtedly heard all the cliches about this city-state in Southeast Asia by this point. Yes, it is incredibly practical and spotless. It's true that the Singapore Changi Airport is a stunning architectural wonder, and that flying with its national airline, your preferred foreign airline, will make you feel pampered. And at one of its hawker restaurants, You can actually get a Michelin-starred meal for less than $10. Singapore, however, is not a nation to take it easy. The opulent Clan Hotel in Chinatown, which draws inspiration from the Chinese immigrants who came to these shores in the 19th century, and the popular restaurant Claudine, which is housed in a 1930s chapel, are just a couple of the recent openings that have occurred while you were gone. With the Singapore Green Plan 2030, a 10-year plan to lower emissions, increase the use of clean energy, expand the network of cycling paths, and add 50% more parkland. The country is embracing its place as a green leader going forward. Beautiful new outdoor areas have already begun to appear as a result of the plan, including EDC waters at Jurong Lake, a network of wooden pathways from which you can see otters and monitor lizards right in the middle of the city. Number 3. Thailand. Thailand's beaches have earned it a reputation as a location to completely abandon all plans and do nothing. Although massages and surfing are permitted, you listed the consistently well-liked Phuket and Koh Samui on our list of your favorite islands this year, and it's easy to see why. Along with pristine expanses of white beaches, there are also historic temples, rum distilleries, opulent resorts, and coral reefs that are ideal for snorkeling. Before you head to the coast, though, there are a ton of new reasons to check out Bangkok, which is quickly becoming one of the most exciting capitals in Asia, as a result of a flurry of new hotels, eateries, and even a wellness retreat on a jungle-covered island just outside the city limits. The Kraken Forest Complex, which is home to fascinating animals like the Asian giant tortoise, the clouded leopard, and the Siamese crocodile, became Thailand's 6th UNESCO World Heritage Site. Number 2. Japan. Tokyo is prepared to make a big impression as the Summer Olympics host city in 2020, replete with a new national stadium created by Kengo Kumar and modeled after temples from the Edo era. Naturally, things didn't precisely go as anticipated. The incredible restaurants, the incredibly relaxing onsens, the Shindo shrines, the cherry blossoms, and the immaculately clean and efficient high-speed trains that travel along some of the most picturesque rail routes in the world are still available now that the country is open to visa-free tourists. Nevertheless, in this cutting-edge country of the future, something new is constantly emerging. A lively setting for gin, sure. A $15.99 hilltop palace where guests can make reservations. For overnight stays, check. Oh, and there are also fresh galleries and exhibits on Naoshima Island, opulent glamping resorts, and an expanding number of sushi bars run by female cooks. Still a significant rarity in this culture-bound nation. Additionally, there are now great justifications for traveling as far as possible to the north and south of the nation. The Joman prehistoric sites in the north, and a string of islands in the archipelago's southwest stretches that are completely devoid of people and teeming with endangered species, were among last year's class of UNESCO World Heritage designees. Number 1. Portugal. It's not hard to understand why Portugal, which tops our ranking. Over the past 10 years, the nation has evolved from a low-cost underdog travel location to a significant player that can compete with Spain and Italy. Portugal was brimming with delights that bordered on sensory overload from the beginning. Despite the 40-year authoritarian rule it endured, and its ailing economy, the intricate blue and white patterns of azulejo tiles, the alluring aroma of oven-fresh pastéis de nata, the bracing chill of a crisp vinho verde, or the nectary sweetness of a port. Lisbon makes for a charming first stop for visitors, with its cheery yellow trams and the mountaintop São Jorge Castle. But more direct flights to Porto are luring visitors to experience the second city's cutting-edge cultural scene and must-try eateries. Then what? Repeat visitors to Portugal are rewarded with a pick-your-own-adventure experience that may take them to the Douro Valley's terraced hillsides, the Alentejo region's underrated beach towns, the Algarve surfer hotspots, and various absurdly picturesque hamlets. Even the volcanic landscapes of the Azores, which resemble Hawaii, are now within easy reach due to a new direct flight on United Airlines from Newark.